Oh man.
Hi, hello, and how are you? That's right, ladies and gentlemen, that timepiece says it's time. So come on in, stay a while. It's time to get coached up with another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. As I mentioned, Rockwell, I'm a proud brand ambassador. And if each and every one of you go to rockwelltime.com, use the code Coach20, you will receive 20% off of any of the fine merchandise that you see on that website. Whether it be timepieces, watches, backpacks, shirts, they've got it all. And I'm telling you, it's high quality stuff. Like and follow the Coach Scott Field Show on the Facebook page. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel because I'm telling you, we are blessed to have outstanding guests come in quite frequently. And man, we've got another one for you today. If you're listening to us in podcast form, my brother Cylk and I say, turn that knob up. We're going to put that flavor in your ear. If you're watching us on DBTV, Monday through Fridays, I am thankful and humbled for the opportunity to be seen in over 300 million households around the globe. Watch us on CSTV Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and the Rewind Sports 60 out of Chicago. Much love to each of you. But without further ado, see my brother there on the other side there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cylk Cozart, and I've got pages and pages of honors and accolades. I had to do my research, Cylk. We're talking model, actor, director, writer, producer, in more than 30 featured films on the big screen, more than 20 TV series. I mean, a Lifetime Achievement Award, Joe Biden Humanitarian Award. This man even finds time to come out with a whiskey and a beer. My brother Cylk Cozart, welcome to the show, man.
Absolute pleasure to be here, Scott. I mean, this is, you know why I'm looking forward to this more than just any kind of show. You already
Oh,
know.
hey, and that's what we're going to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you something. This is so unique, and we were talking briefly just before we went live here. We could count on one hand, and Cylk will tell you one finger, how many people via basketball have played at Montreat Anderson Junior College in Montreat, North Carolina, sitting at the base of Grandfather Mountain. And then we transferred to King College in Bristol, Tennessee, and we're in Klein Gymnasium. Brother, how awesome and cool is that?
I didn't have a Montreat jersey, or I would have wore a hat or something. But I got the King thing going. That's very rare. I mean, just to go to those schools, but to play ball, to know about Lake Susan, all that.
Lake Susan, right there on. Hey, I did many a canoe trips, and I tried to wow a few women on that. On that
I tried too. Didn't work.
I love it. But I mean, hey,
it is unique.
We were both Cavaliers. Montreat Anderson, you via Knoxville at Carnes High School. What brought you and who recruited you to go to Montreat Anderson, my man?
A guy by the name of Chuck Hahn. He was. We went to FCA camp together. 6'5" guard. He played in Knoxville, and he kept saying, if you don't go, you're going to go to a big school, but if they don't recruit you right away, you need to go to a junior college. And Montreat Anderson, I was like, what? I never heard of Montreat. I was like, Montreal? No, Montreat. So, and I said, okay. And he had played 1 year, so he was getting ready to be a sophomore. And I thought, God, this guy's pretty tough, and he's doing well. And so he showed me some pictures of it. And once you see those pictures at that school, you're like, that's a college? Thought that was a resort area.
Yes.
Yes. So I ended up going there, and then the coach came out. I think it was Coach Hahn, I believe, that recruited me. And I thought, my grades weren't the best, and I always heard go to a junior college first. I didn't realize that junior college was very tough academically. I went in from the fire into the furnace.
Right.
Academically speaking. Anyway, it was tough my freshman year. I got to tell you, it was close. It was close, Scott. I had to find the smartest person in the school to help me, I mean, really. But so glad I went there. What about
Hey,
you?
okay, unique story. I I had an idea in my mind. I wanted to play at Purdue University. My dad was a huge Indiana University fan. He loved Bobby Knight. I'm like, I'm going to play for Gene Cady. Well, that didn't go over too well in the household. And then they signed another player in my position, but a coach from Indiana took the head coaching job, just like you, Montreat Anderson. Where? And he comes and recruits me and says, "Hey, you'll have an opportunity to play." And I heard that. And at 17 years old with that ego, I'm like, I want to play. So that's how I ended up there. And you talking about beautiful resort? Are you
Oh,
kidding me? I can remember putting on a pair of old tennis shoes and going out on a biology project at Little Grandfather Mountain and
oh,
leeches. I'm just like, where am I? I thought there's like, the movie, a horror movie out there, but it was so beautiful, so fun. And like you, I got with a good friend from Japan who helped me pass probability and stats, or I wouldn't have been eligible.
you're not going to believe this. That was the first course that I had problems with. I was like, if you can reject the
Oh,
null hypothesis, then you will have a type 2 error. What does that mean now? And my roommate, get this, was from Japan, and his
oh,
name was Jim Yim.
love it.
Probability and stat. I mean, I can't believe that. Wow.
That's great.
Problem with that, though, is it?
Oh, hey, and my thing was, how can I make probability and stats something applicable to what's going to help me? And then I become a coach, and now I do analytics and probability. And so thank goodness I paid attention because, like I'm saying, if I didn't have my buddy, I'd still be taking that course.
Oh, no, but you're serious, man. You're right. And I bet you a lot of people went through that. They just didn't admit it like you and I admit.
Let's keep it real, Cylk. Let's keep it
That's
real.
it. That's it.
Okay, and so then how crazy, we both end up being a tornado at King College in Bristol, Tennessee. Your coach, Al Nida, was the athletic director when I went and was coaching at King College.
What a unbelievable scenario. But what a great man, Coach. I went there because of Coach Nida.
Yeah,
I had other offers and things, but
yeah.
an attorney friend of mine, Sandy Sharp from Knoxville, had played at King, and he was really good. And I was like, he was really smart and he was good. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna. And I went there and I just fell in love with the campus. It reminded me of Montreat.
Yeah,
Did it
yeah.
not? I mean, the rock buildings, the rock. If you had if I had a question about something, I could go to the professor's house in a little cottage up on the hill, and then you knock on the door. Oh, Mr. Johnson, I'm having a little problem with chapter 12. Oh, come on in, honey. Have some tea and some cookies.
Yeah.
you
Hey,
know,
wasn't it
it was
nice to be called
oh,
Cylk or Scott instead of a social security number and have those
number
personal relationships?
640. Oh, it made
Oh,
me feel so comfortable. I felt like I was supposed to be there,
yes,
as
yes,
opposed to, I don't know,
right?
everybody's smarter than me. Well, that's true,
Well, hey,
but
I,
I'm gonna hold my own.
hey,
So,
here's the thing. I knew everybody was smarter than me. I just had to try to fit in somehow. I
oh,
had professors because I was involved with basketball. They kind of looked down at me, and I would do a presentation. And because I was associated with basketball, I felt like it was a little bit tougher on me, which now I appreciate. But during the
yes.
time, I'm like, I'm not going to get into research and all this stuff. Just let me tell you about
Yeah.
cognitive maps. Oh, Cylk,
Wow.
but how beautiful is that campus at King where you're out? Think about those morning walks or late evenings out on the oval. Come on, man.
Oh, I really missed that. I was just there at the homecoming 2 weekends ago, and they screened "Inherit the Land," the movie that I just directed that we'll talk about in a minute. And they just went crazy. They went nuts. I was like, it's because I was here. I was able to express myself, and the arts help the other subjects. And Anyway, it was packed, and what a beautiful, I mean, they've built it out. I didn't see the golf course. I was like, where'd the golf course go? Like, what happened? But it's so beautiful.
Another thing that I remember about King, I remember for 99 cents, and I was on a college budget, I was hurting. I could go get all you could eat biscuits and gravy, and we would pull all-nighters and study for exams having that biscuits and gravy. And I still yearn for that biscuits and gravy, brother.
You know what? I have had dreams. I woke up smelling biscuits and gravy from that. I mean, really, seriously. And I'm a little older than you. So it's like, golly, it was like that when I was there. And, Virginia Entertianment College was nice to be around there,
Yeah.
I was like, there's an all-girls school right over there. I like this college. I like this school right here.
Yeah. I
didn't know it was going to be as hard as it was, though. That was a very difficult. I went from a very hard school at Montreat academically to me, and to someone that just kind of walked through high school, because I was just so uncomfortable in my high school years. But by the time I got to college, I was like still counting on my fingers. I was like, let's say carry the two. Everybody else was like, meow, meow. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Well, I remember getting there in August, and we're walking around and we're doing the tour and orientation. And one of the professors described it as the Harvard of the South. And I thought, uh-oh. What did I just get myself into?
Oh, brother. Yeah, but you did pretty well. I did okay toward the end, my last year, when I learned how to study. I never learned how to study. They just, you memorize something, you take a test, or you do this, take a test. No. So I learned how to study there.
Well, for me, it was the same. I learned how to study, but, as I told you, that advisor said, this is the Harvard of the South. Then I had another buddy who was in basketball, and he said, hey, Scott, C's get degrees. You're going to be all right. And I was like,
C's get degrees. I hate to admit it, but that was an okay saying for me.
Hey, I wore that badge well. I got to own it.
Oh man. But just to go through that whole process, I think the education is outside the classroom as well as inside the classroom with those types of schools.
Yeah.
Especially then when we went, oh my gracious, I loved it, and got to hear, I got to hear stories like people like Henry Logan, a guy that like a god there from the late 60s and 70s, and a guy that played with him. I got to meet him. I mean, this guy was incredible. Anyway, just things like that. You get to learn things you never would even imagine if you don't go away from the nest.
I saw one of your Facebook posts, and you met that one teacher who's 93 years old. And wow,
Jewel Bell.
Can you imagine the story she has? Are you kidding me? That's gold.
Oh, it's more than gold. Exactly. And I used to just love to just sit and listen to her, and she saved my butt a few times.
Ooh, yeah.
Which that's another story. But she really just set me down. And you know what? One of the things stands out in my mind that she called me in her office. She goes, Mr. Cozart. I said, hey, Miss Bell. She goes, don't you Miss Bell me. Oh, she goes, where were you Saturday night around, I don't know, midnight? And I was like, I was hanging out with some folks on the Oval. She goes, in the girls' dorm? I was like, I might have went by there. She goes, get your butt over here. And then, and then there was some discrepancy. I got in a little scuffle with a guy off campus, and it got back to her. And she said, you know what? You represent more than just the basketball team, sir. You represent King College. It was King College at that point. And I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, not just now, but when you leave here, your antics, you got to understand, are going to follow you, or good or bad. So you might as well start a good example here if you're the captain of the team. And I was like, oh my God. I felt like that was my grandma going, I'm not going to beat your butt physically, but I'm going to, make sure you remember this. And she did it in a nice, fun way.
There you go.
Anyway, that's just one of the many. One of the
She
many.
held you. She just held you accountable, and you got to appreciate that with people. You know.
Oh, she did it with kindness too. She didn't,
That's right.
name calling, no bad words, no bad language, none of that stuff. Just pure wisdom.
Yeah,
And I'm
Cylk,
sure there's thousands of people that felt that too.
And I get so excited because I think back to having that Christian liberal arts education and attending the chapels and just being fully enriched in that community, and yet representing the community and standing for something bigger than ourselves. What a great place to receive a degree and earn an education, but surround yourself with good quality people who have empathy and understanding of everybody's walk of life.
I told them, everyone that I met that I hadn't seen in years, I said, you all spoiled me. You spoiled me. I go to places like LA. It's not like that,
Yeah.
I go to New York. It's not like that. Go to Europe. It's not. It's closer to Europe. But anyway, I said, you spoiled me in a great way, and I expected a certain standard when I would meet people in a business, not only in a business scenario, but just in a basic human contact scenario. And it set a standard, and I kept it there. And I have to say, I learned that from both Montreat Anderson and King, and the people that engulfed that.
You and I both. You and I both. And this game of basketball has enriched our lives so much.
So much.
Yeah, because you go from King, and then you have an invite to the NBA Summer League. I was able to coach in the NBA Summer League. So again, our paths continue to I mean, I just can't believe it. It's like you were pioneering for me and you didn't even know it.
I didn't even look. The camp I went to was, you remember Larry Kreger and Jim White?
Larry Kreger, of course. Yeah, Larry Kreger was one of the best guys.
He's the one that got me out to LA. And Ben Jobe, who was a scout for the Nuggets, brought me in. And I didn't know how it worked. I was like, Tennessee, in LA, and all the guys were, and you were graded 1 to 10, ball handling, court awareness, rebounding, shooting skills, all these things. And at the end of the day, you would look up the board and go, oh, man, I graded out of 7 on that, or a 9 on shooting, or 9 on defense, And so at the end of the camp, you would get out of, say, 300, maybe 400 players from all over, they would pick, I think, 80. Then the next camp, after that camp was over, the Europeans would come, and they picked those, and 80 or so came out of that. And so out of that was the Summer League.
Yep.
And Denver, when Ben Jobe, I was like, oh my God, I said, how much do I owe to the hotel when it was time? And they said, the Nuggets took care of your. I said, no, I don't think you understand. It's Cylk Cozart. You got me mixed up. You got me mixed up with. I really, literally, because I hadn't paid in like 2 weeks, and I ran out of money. I was buying food for all my friends I just met. Oh yeah, here, and I ran out of money, and I thought, oh God. So I went downstairs to the manager. I said, I need to talk to the manager, and I said, and he said, I'm the manager. I said, well, I'm my name's da da da. He goes, yeah. I said, when do we have? How much time do we have to pay? To pay up? He goes, what do you mean? And I said, the tab. He goes, what's your name again? And I told him. He goes, what room? I said, he goes, oh, you're good. You're already yours is taken care of. And I went. That's when I went. No, I don't. I don't think you understand. Nobody knows me here. And he goes, no, you're on the Denver Nuggets. You're there. I went, I'm there?
Yeah.
I'm thinking I made the team, right? Anyway, so it was, you coached.
I did. I was blessed that I was able to coach the Golden State Warriors with my friend Keith Smart, who, of course, the legend hits the championship jumper for IU to beat Syracuse. He's the head coach.
Player.
I get to go with him, and wouldn't you know, Steph Curry is a rookie that year. So I
Yeah.
get to
Oh
be
my
around
God.
Steph. And then, of course, then I was able to be here with the Utah Jazz and Hall of Fame coach Jerry Sloan, which is just,
What a
I
great
mean,
coach.
oh, every day was a clinic being around a Hall of Fame guy like that.
Yeah.
So,
One day I'll tell you a story about Karl Malone when I went to Utah for the first time. But anyway, but go ahead. I want to hear this.
no, it's just, yeah, you just think of how blessed we have been that our paths, and because of basketball, the people that we've met, the relationships that we have built, all from the game and from a passion of basketball, which, catapulted you into an amazing modeling career. And then this, I mean, a lifetime achievement in the industry of entertainment. And I was just on the sports entertainment end, but are you kidding me?
That's huge. Your contribution, it keeps going. Isn't that beautiful the way God has things planned out? Man can make plans, but if God is not involved, it's just a dream that keeps going on and on. It never comes to
Preach,
fruition. Makes you feel
preach.
good to hear the stuff, but if no, that's bottom line.
Isn't that
So
cool
blessed.
though? Well, and then,
Yeah.
then how our lives kind of continue to mirror each other. You find out later in life, you have Nikki, my wife and
Yes.
we adopt an African American young man from Compton who's now a professional basketball player in Europe. So
Oh wow, that's right.
our lives have been abundantly blessed because of basketball and God using us as a vessel just to,
Yes.
try to do good and be good and serve others.
Yeah, but see, we recognize that. And I think a lot of people know that, but for some reason a lot of people, as you know, they kind of think it's all them. And
Yeah.
that we're like,
Yep.
well, wait a minute, nobody gets there alone. Nobody, even
Amen.
Michael. Michael
Amen.
had help. So
Amen.
and
But
LeBron and the Greek Freak, all of the top guys.
well, here's
Um,
where I'm going to give you your flowers, and you're able to make that statement because of you don't have an ego, you have humility, you're very humble with the things that you have been blessed with, and it's not just about you. But
oh,
I just
absolutely.
think of the relationships and the meaningful relationships and our ability to communicate and teach and tell and share stories. That's
Oh,
to me what it's all about, Silk. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
no, you're right on the money about we're storytellers.
Yeah.
We're storytellers, and to have the platform that we have to tell the stories. I mean, to me, that's beyond dreams that we've had as little boys growing up, wanting to just play ball, which was a dream. I know when we were making the movie Blue Chips, I'm sitting there playing with Shaquille O'Neal, hadn't played a minute of pro ball yet. He was still, it was
Coming from
unbelievable.
LSU, Penny
Yeah,
Hardaway coming in.
yeah, Penny. And you got, I always got Bobby Hurley, always got all those guys,
Yeah.
And it was just like one camp. And it was like, and then being able to play fun and have and throwing passes, they're gonna catch it. If a bad pass, they'll catch it and throw it, and just to be in that energy and then making a movie with them. Every day was I felt like I was, this is where I don't want to do anything else. Can I just keep
Oh,
doing this forever, please?
see, I love how you describe that, just being within that energy. I mean, because your scene in Blue Chips, you're going to Algiers with Coach Nick Nolte, who's kind of emulating a Bobby Knight, which
We stayed with Bobby Knight for a couple of days before we filmed.
right, right. So I mean, I love that, basketball has connected us in amazing ways. And then of course, White Man Can't Jump. I mean, Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes and come on, man.
Ron Shelton, great filmmaker. Ron Shelton, he wrote and directed White Men Can't Jump with. He wrote and directed Bull Durham, Blaze, Tin
Wow.
Cup,
Wow.
Cobb,
Wow.
So he's like, that's my mentor. That's who I learned how to direct under. I still talk to him. I'll call him and go, Ron, what do you think about this? Just a genius of a man who can sing, play the classical piano. Bull Durham that he wrote and directed was his story. Kevin Costner. He found Kevin. Nobody knew or even wanted Kevin Costner. And then finally he goes, no, he can hit from all fields, and he's a really great baseball player. And they were like, he doesn't look athletic, you know. And so he brought the studio out to watch Kevin Costner throw and hit, and they were like, he's a pro. He said, I tried to tell you. So that got him in. And so by the time he met me, I didn't know who he was. I was like, Ron, the 40-year-old white guy at the gym that can shoot the lights out. You know, he was like Havlicek. You know, nobody could guard him.
Wow.
You know, and he never talked Yang. He didn't let anybody know he played in Santa Barbara. You know, he was an All-American baseball player. And Tin Cup, what I was saying, Tin Cup was really, that's his story. He was Kevin's, he got a, what do you say in baseball, a cup of coffee or tea?
Yeah,
or what is it?
a little sip of tea.
Yeah, sip of tea. So all those things. But anyway, and meeting all the people that come with that is what, it grows exponentially. It just,
wow.
You know, and if you keep yourself clean and you stay in a really nice energy as much as you can. Sometimes you can't help it. You're in an area in Hollywood, especially, so you can't control your environment all the time. But when you can, I try to surround myself with real positive family-like energy, because I couldn't function any other. I'm not good at phony fakeness, just being there, because I just never could.
Yeah. And so, see, that's a culture, and you as a producer know and understand that culture and family, right, and hard work, where you all have the mission of, you know, what the final result's going to be in the outcome, but it's the process that is so fun to, for me as a coach, put people in a position to be successful. You as a producer,
and let them go.
That's right. Let them showcase their skills and their talents, and the next thing you know, you have a masterpiece.
That's what I learned from the best directors, from Oliver Stone, from Ron Shelton, from Dick Donner, from Spike Lee, that you don't tell the actors how to act. You don't tell the caterer how to cook. You don't tell the cinematographer how to film. You don't tell the gaffer how to light. You meet with them prior in each department and ask them, how do you like to work? What's your process, as you say, which is always going to be a process. So you better love the process, or you're never going to enjoy what you think is the end result, because it's not going to happen that way. And then after you meet with each department head, by the time you get on the set, it's a beautiful, like, orchestra.
Wow.
that comes together so beautifully. And that's why these great directors are great directors, because they treat everybody, the person that cleans up, like they do the head of the studio. So I learned that from Sherry Lansing, who ran Paramount for all those years. So when we did Blue Chips with her, and she's so kind. The people were like leaving the night at Paramount, and she would say, all right, Margaret, you make sure you take that dog to the vet in the morning. You know, I mean, literally cares about everybody she worked with. And I thought, she's the chairman of Paramount Pictures, driving me around in a golf cart while we were making Blue Chips, you know, telling me how they love to make movies, but only movies that make sense to their process. They have their own. So I learned a lot about the studio system working with her and Ron. But anyway, that's what I learned about from all these great directors, is that you don't, I used to think the person, you know, director tells everybody what to do. No, not necessarily. If you walk on a set and somebody's screaming their head off, turn around and go the other way, because it doesn't work. It doesn't need that. If you know what you're doing, everybody's happy and you've already went through what you need to do. It's a comfortable environment. The only time you have these people going, nah, 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 their egos, and they're not prepared. Somebody's not prepared. Because when you're prepared, you're like, hey, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
But if you're not, you're like, I don't know. The lighting kind of sucks here.
Yeah. And see, I hear you talking about attention to detail. And as a coach, it's the same, because what you don't correct, you accept. And as a producer, what you haven't communicated for them to do what they do and for them to stay in their lane and be the best at it, boom, things will take off, brother.
Scott, didn't you correlate team, that camaraderie, with the team attitude, with, as you got older in life, like, you know, you have a certain team of folks that you know that's your squad. That's you know right. What I mean? And you know, there's certain others that could be on the team. They haven't showed that they should. So what happened with me was that special thing that you have on a team, in a team environment, translated to making a movie with the team. As a director now is, oh wow, what the game of basketball, one of the things it taught me, and Coach Nida taught me, is that it allows you to accept other people from other cultures, other nations, other denominations, races, and all that stuff. They just might know a little bit more than you. They might know something that you might not know. So you just listen. The listener is the most important person. And that's one of the biggest things I took away, because if you really listen, they'll tell you everything you need. And you just, then it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah. If listening is a skill, and to be an active listener, to hear their needs, right? Come on.
No, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Love this. I mean, let's talk about directing. I mean, you've got Ball of Confusion. Talk a little bit about that process and how you're excited about it. Because when I saw that you were working on that, I'm like, this is cool.
What's really cool is the process. It's a process. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, you're good.
I'll just. What's really cool is the process. It took 17 years to make. And when you're doing a documentary, the real task is knowing when to end it. You can keep going, and people unfortunately pass away during the process. And you realize, wait a minute, like, for instance, I was ready to put out the film Ball of Confusion before Inherit the Land. But then COVID hit. And at that point, the end of the movie was, where do you think the future of basketball is headed? And people were saying, like, I don't know, we might go to China, and maybe players will get paid. Well, now players are getting paid now. So I'm either going to do a part 2, or I'm going to interview Shaq and Jerry West and let them tell me where the future of basketball is going.
There you go. Wow.
So,
that's awesome.
James Naismith is the inventor of the game. We start with his voice and we end with his voice. We found one recording at Kansas University that has his voice. And I start the movie and end the movie with his voice.
And I learned that the rules of the game that that Dr. Naismith wrote out are actually in the hands of a gentleman at Rock Chalk Jayhawk at Kansas University. And then you just think, this is how the game has evolved. Since he had guys basically playing football, playing in the winter just to give them something to do, shooting through a peach basket. And now we have these guys who a Steph Curry has transformed the game and the entertainment value. And oh my gosh, Cylk, come on, man.
Can you believe it wasn't made for, he wasn't thinking of profiting from the game?
Yeah, no money anywhere.
Wow, just for exercise in the wintertime for my football players.
Right. Oh, wow.
But look, Oscar Robinson is my business partner on this with
the
Keith
Big
Zimmerman.
O.
And the Big O, and I put him throughout the movie. I have, interviewing him throughout, and I asked him as well about where do you think the future is going, and he was basically as always right on the money. So that was I wanted to direct it because, being a ball player, not many actors are real ball players or have been on the court or taken an elbow or know what it's like to hit a last second shot or know what it's like to get a last second shot on you. Or, it's a lot of elements that go into making a movie anyway, much less if I don't know anything about golf, which I don't, and I was asked to direct a golfing movie, I'm going to call whoever I know that's the best golfer, who's been around golfing business for years, before I'll do anything. So,
get a Tiger Woods, get a Jack Nicklaus, get the best of the best, man.
Absolutely. Ego goes away. I learned Ron Shelton is one of the best directors I've ever seen, and he never went to film school. And so, you could go to school, but if you're not doing what your passion is, it'll benefit at some place down the road, but you're not going to really benefit if you know What if you and I knew where we were going to be 20 years later? I mean, really, or
Wow.
10 years.
Right.
I mean,
yep.
So just think, I didn't have a cell phone when I was in college. You know, they got them in middle schools, have their own cell phones. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, the technology today can blow your mind, but I do think if it's used the proper way, what a resource it can be. You know, instead of just going down the rabbit hole of all the nonsense and misinformation that's out there that you and I are both aware of. But man, if it's used the right way to have access globally to all the information that now that you can, you know, empower yourself with to be better at what you do. Come on, man. You got to use
what
it.
you've done. You've empowered, and you still are, so many athletes, not just basketball players. That's what I was impressed with. I mean, you're such a good coach, but you know how to transfer what you know to the players. A lot of men and women have a lot of knowledge about the game, but they can't translate it to a player. Yeah. I mean, you know, I love Irving Magic. It's a friend of mine. I was in LA saying, played against him a lot. He'll tell you, he'll be the first one to say, you know, I don't want to coach. He said, I want to, because I was there right before he left the the Lakers, right? And I was kind of in the stands just watching, because we were getting ready to do an event, and I got there early so I could watch him practice. So he just walked off the court and he goes, and Jerry West says to him, he says, you know, you're not playing anymore. You know, because Magic was out there running the offense, saying like this, here, you go over here, you know, the triangle, and he couldn't get it across the way he wanted to. He's just so frustrated. He just walks off the court and sit down. And Jerry West came out, put his arm around. He goes, "You got it's okay, but you know, you're not playing." You know, it was kind of a weird thing, but they were kind of joking, but yet telling the truth.
But that's a reality.
That's why Jordan doesn't coach. Jordan ain't gonna be a good coach. He wouldn't be a good coach.
Yeah, because think about it. They immersed themselves into their skill set, and it was action reaction, and so they would do it with so much fluidity that it was natural then because of the repetition. And so for them to try to translate now and become a teacher to say, this is what I need from you, this is your role. That's why it's frustrating for a high level 1% player who's an all-star or a top 50 player to translate that.
Yeah. I mean, they could be a great coach if they really just wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Michael would be a great one, so would Irving. But the point was, that's not. That's it's
right.
so uncomfortable. It's like being in a bottle. You know, it's like the NFL or even high school coaches can't coach like they did when I played football in high school and basketball. They would get your face mask and go, "Cozart, are you hearing me, boy?" You know, right now, I'm gonna sue you, coach.
Yeah, exactly. But look at the success that they've had once they found out that they had that entrepreneurial spirit and mindset and how to grow businesses and how to grow people and how to empower people. So they still took those skills learned from the game, but they just made it applicable another way to be able to help communities, you know, and states and nations, right?
To me, I was so fortunate to win the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame and the Larry Smith Award. And it's an award where they give you not so much what you did in basketball, but what you did with the game of basketball. And I thought, wow, I wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for the game of basketball. And so that's why I didn't have a problem. Every film that I would make, I would try to find out, whatever city I was in, I would find out where the children's hospital was. I'd try to visit them or just do anything that I would want if I was, you know, it's being empathetic, which I think this country needs a little more of.
Amen.
From all of us. And I always say, look in the mirror. I'm not saying anything to you or her that I'm not saying to myself. And especially our leaders. The more empathetic a leader is, the more of the leadership grows. It gets better.
Yep.
You know, no matter how you look at it. But anyway, Coach Snyder was the one. Coach Snyder was the one that taught me so much about leadership that I thought I knew.
Yeah. Wow. And see, I love that, because what I hear you saying, I'm hearing character, I hear core values, I hear that again, that humility. And the way I see it, Cylk, one man's candle does not go out by igniting 100 other candles. You're not in a leadership position to gain followers. You're in a leadership position to build other leaders.
Exactly. What a great way to put that. That I haven't heard it put that way. You need to market that.
Oh man.
You've already no, I already. I'm joking because God, you're such a great leader yourself. Can you imagine playing under you as a coach? You know what I mean? At the height, you know what I'm saying? Do you ever think about that, like stuff like that?
Well, that's kind of what I've always told myself as a coach is I'm going to treat people the way I wanted to be treated myself. So kind of like my own golden rule. But yet I'm going to be understanding. I'm going to be empathetic. But again, it's about that relationship and building that relationship. It's not X and O's. It's about the Jims and Joes. So what can I do to help Jim be better? What can I help Joe do to be better off the court and take pressures and stressors off of him so he can focus on his job and role and responsibility to help the team attain its goals? Because the more that we all have success, the more marketability he's going to have, the more longevity he's going to have. And I always kind of had it that way. But I think the big mistake leaders make is they think it's about them, and it's not. It's about people that they're working with.
Absolutely. I learned, again, real quick, I know we don't have much time, but Coach Snyder was such an influence on me. He's a Hall of Fame coach anyway. We beat LMU, which was a big deal when I played. They had a 7-foot center and a 6'9" point guard, So they obviously, I guess that was the biggest game. So we won in Klein. I hit the last second shot way out there where the 4-point play is. And we win. My picture's in the paper the next day. It's all over the place, all over. So I go into coach's office the next school day, and he's got my pictures and all that all over the office. And he goes, "Cozart, do you believe this stuff?" And I went, "Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we won, coach. We beat LMU. Like, yeah." He goes, "That's a game. It's one basketball game." I said, "Well, yeah, I believe." He goes, starts taking it down, throwing it away. He says, "That's not fair." He said, "What happens if you have a bad game? What happens if you can't even guard the referee? What happens? You're going to jump around high-fiving people in front of the other team?" So you're the captain of the team. He said, "You're sending mixed signals." I said, "Coach, what do you mean?" I was just excited. He says, "It looks like you're not used to winning, for one." He said, "When you wait till you get in the locker room with your guys, with your teammates, then do whatever you want. But in front of people, in front of the other team, no, you're a leader. A real leader doesn't need to do that. It looks like you need that, in front of people." And I said, "Wow." And he said, "That's for fans. This is for newspapers. That's for them." He said, "No." That helped me so much when I got into the movie business. So I'm doing movies that make $2.50 at the box office. Then you do a movie like White Man Can't Jump, is the biggest movie for 8 months in the whole world. And his words were ringing in my ear, like, just be humble about it and be appreciative. But you don't need to celebrate in front of people like you've never, like you're some psycho or something. And then you don't want the other team, and when they beat you, to be high-fiving in your face and and I didn't do it like that, but that's what it felt like,
Yeah.
So I was able to teach. Now I'm able to teach these young actors and athletes that come in, and I love working with athletes because they have that team thing and a drive and something that to strive for that's bigger than themselves. And then I translate that into as an actor or a writer or director.
I love it.
So anyway, I didn't mean to get off too much.
No,
of that,
it's just so true.
Coach Snyder was such an influence on me to this day, and he always will be.
Yeah, and see, I got to be around him when he was with a different hat. He was actually coaching the women at the time, but he was the athletic director. But his leadership over that department set the tone for all the programs. And like you said, you got to act like you expected to win. Act like you belong to be there, right?
Right, and that's not ego. It's a big difference in ego and confidence.
Oh,
big difference.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I learned how to separate that. He said, "You got to have an ego. If you didn't have an ego, you wouldn't be here." He said, "A boxer going in a ring without an ego is not going to win very much, and it's not going to work out well for him." He said, "But that's for the back of that's for back here, way back here when you're down and ain't nothing, nobody's going for you. You're by yourself, and you look in the mirror and you go, wait a minute, I am good. I am freaking great. What am
There
I
you,
listening to those guys for? That's the time the ego comes out. And I was like, you're right. You're right. You don't need it up front. You put it up front, then it doesn't happen. Then where are you going to go when you're by yourself? Then you're going to be depressed.
love
I'm
it.
like,
Great.
God, coach, you're the best. Anyways.
Great life lessons, man. There's so many gold nuggets being shared here with your wisdom and knowledge and experience and expertise in what you do. I'm just so humbled and love this energy that we've got going. Talk about, when did you know and when did you fully immerse yourself to be about it, to get into the movie industry? Just like you put everything into basketball, when you're like, okay, I'm watching Gilligan's Island, I'm watching, the Andy Griffith
And
Show.
Mayberry.
I know I belong there. When were you like, okay, I'm going to immerse myself to get the skills that I need so I can prosper in this dog eat dog industry?
When they wouldn't allow me to audition for a play in high school,
Mm.
and I knew I could do it. I knew I could. For some reason, I just felt like, well, I'm gonna do it either way. When I get older, I'm just gonna go to California or go to New York, where they say you got to be. I'm just gonna. If you're not gonna let me do it here, every year, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, they never let me. They said we don't have parts for people that look like you. And I didn't realize I called everything N-word, half breed. Mom's Cherokee, dad's black. So they call me all kind of stuff. So hair is always messed crazy, and I always wear hats and scarves. I don't know how to fix it. I don't care about it. I
Hey,
just
I'm jealous of your hair. I'm follically challenged, brother. Come on. You've
oh
got
man,
great
come on. You got a clean look. What are you talking about? No, but I might have to play characters, which there's a character coming up I might be playing, Frederick Douglass. And he was exotic, they say, and had the hair kind of like mine. But anyway, I just really appreciated the people that raised me, because when it happened, more or less when I was in church doing a play and I said the wrong lines, like I was one of the I was giving the baby Jesus a gift, myrrh, frankincense, and all the stuff, jasmine, and all that, and I messed it up. I said, I bring baby Frank sent me.
Frank sent me.
And the whole church just exploded. And right at that point, I thought I did something wrong. And then I found they were laughing at me and with me, but it went through me like a current that I'd never felt. And I since searched for that feeling on stage. And you get it, when you hit that last second shot, or you get that last rebound or something, you give a good pass, or you run and score a touchdown, and you hear that whoa, or people laugh at you, you're on stage, and it's a certain thing that you get from that, and that you give out, and it comes back to you.
Oh,
And
I
that's
love that.
what it is. And when that happened, it happened at different stages in my life. And therefore it didn't matter if they wouldn't allow me to audition, or if they wouldn't allow me in, like they let the last 10 people in front of me. So that didn't matter. For some reason, I think God had his hand on me all the time and said, like, don't worry about it. You know what you can do. You just got to get in front of the right people. And I kept saying that. You just got to get in front of the right people. That's all I kept. Just like an athlete that can play.
That's right.
If you don't play on TV, on national TV, unless you averaging 50 points a game, ain't nobody going to know who you are.
Yeah, I love it.
Anyway.
I'm hearing the stories of perseverance, but I've also heard, it's okay to fail, and you don't quit if you fail. They always said, losing builds character. I always say, well, just don't be a cartoon. You know what? Learn that life
Good
lesson
point.
through that failure. And yet, so that way it's a lesson. So, you're out there learning lessons, but I'm hearing parallels. You had some failures in things, but you didn't quit. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school team. So again, there's parallels in sports and in life and in your industry that, man, if these athletes apply those life lessons, it's going to be so much easier. Because I heard you say you felt that surge of energy from the crowd, and that was that adrenaline rush, that the dopamine and the endorphins that got triggered. Come on, brother.
And then you start craving that too. You start missing that. And that's why when I see an athlete that's injured and can't perform, well, I know what they're going through. You're trapped in your body, or, all those things. I told these when I got my award the Hall of Fame, it was like a few thousand players from different colleges, small colleges, all over with either their parents or their coaches. So we were all there, and I said, I know you all think you're going to play, all your whole life. And they were like, yeah, interrupt. I went, no, you're not. I said, yeah, we all said, no, you're not. You're going to wake up one day and you're going to be stretching and hear a crack and you're going to go, whoa, what was that? And then you're going to take a step and you're going to wonder why you don't have that you don't feel powerful. You feel weak in that. You don't feel like you can jump like you used to, and you can't. And you go to the gym and it's not there. And that day is like you've lost one of your best friends that you'll never see again, or a girl that you could have asked out and she goes off, you never see her again.
Yeah,
or whatever it may be. It's the
That's
feeling
right.
that you'll never forget. And I always thought, I don't want to have that. Once you have it once, you don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah, every athlete goes through that, because think about it, it is going to end and there's a mortality there, but how do you adapt and how do you cope, and what are you going to do to springboard to catapult yourself into your next career, post-playing career? And so I'm loving the stories that you're sharing there. I can't believe we've gone, probably more than 48, 49 minutes already. We got a few minutes. So this has been so enlightening. But what lessons would you share for the viewers of the Coach Scott Field Show? Because you've already left them with a gold mine of nuggets, but share words of wisdom that you've learned in the Hollywood industry to help people persevere through trials and tribulations.
Well, one thing, I think we wait on a voice to come to us when that voice is in us already. So that's when I think people mean when they say believe in yourself, but that's a statement. It's so commonly used, but if you really think about it, it's the voice within. That's your voice telling you, wait a minute, just because they said I'm not good enough to be here. They haven't seen me play yet, or they haven't heard me sing or watched me dance or seen my acting. It doesn't matter what they say. Really, only thing matters is what you think. But then the main thing is to surround yourself with like energies, and don't be so prejudiced. And I don't mean just in skin color prejudice. Yep. Prejudice about if you can hang out with somebody if they're older than you, if they've got something that's interesting that you're learning from, or somebody's younger than you. You don't just say. I mean, we've missed opportunities because I don't hang out. I'm 10 years older than him. But they might teach you something. Oh man, you go where that energy is, and you don't look at we're all going to be looking different, sounding different, everything. So the difference is whatever's different can make you a star, can fulfill your dream. That thing that's different can be the exact thing that God had put there in the first place. That you just now, and I've discovered that and witnessed that for years. I wish somebody had told me, listen more than you talk. Because listen to people, especially when you go into meetings, and it's the best advice I've ever gotten. Denzel told me also. He says, "Look," because I was wanting to go to all the parties when I got out there, and he set me down after we're playing basketball, and he says, "How many times you got hired going to a party?" And I was like, "Dang, let me see that. No, that didn't happen." So he goes, "Exactly." He said, "People go to a party, get high, drunk, whatever their thing is. Ain't nobody going there. Ain't no director going to a party to really seriously hire somebody. They're going like meeting people, but meeting you and hiring you is a different thing." He got me straight. He said, go to audition, go to dinner with somebody if you're hungry. Don't go expecting a meal from a deal with the meal. You know what I'm saying? So that was two of the biggest things I've learned. If you want to go to dinner, but go to dinner because you like their company, not because they can put you in a movie or do you a favor. If you want the favor, ask them for the favor. You'll know then. Don't spend a whole dinner or two or three times and then you realize they can't really help you anyway. Now you've wasted. Just ask people. So listening and then ask questions. Biggest things you can do.
Love it.
And your passion will guide you. That's your inner voice. It will guide. Don't wait on somebody else's voice. God is already in you. You're alive. You're moving. You already have his spirit in you. So you don't have to go looking for it.
I love it. And I'll tell you what, if people would train their inner voice to set no ceiling or no limitations for themselves, think of the things that we could achieve if we would start training our brain and our mindset to do better and be better and serve more. Wow.
Well, people like you make it obvious that that's what we need to do. And if
Oh,
I just wish I could have, man, been around you when you were coaching and I was a player, or just being on your staff. You know, that would have been cool. Dang, that's a whole
no.
movie. We got to talk about doing a movie about you. What do you guys
Oh.
think about out there? All y'all write in. Let's make a movie about Scott Fields. Okay.
Oh man, that would be so fun. My brother, flowers to you. Your character, your core values, your beliefs, how you serve and empower others. My man, I know you'll continue to impact lives. I mean, you've got a whiskey coming out, you've got beer coming out, you're putting your
Country
hands
Roads
on
beer, baby.
projects. Oh, talk about it real quick.
Country Roads beer came about with Rick Clark. He's a former NFL agent, a NASCAR owner. He and Brad Daugherty owned a NASCAR team called No Fear.
Black Mountain, North Carolina.
Yeah, and Rick is in Charlotte. What's up, Rick? And he brought it to me. We came together for a movie that we were still talking about, 7 years ago. And he brought his idea that Country Roads needs to be a beer, and he got the money that his grandmother left him. That was actually former slave area that was handed down to him. Wow. So he started the company like that, and he brought me in, and so he and I own it. And we're getting ready to. Looks like we're going to do something with the ACC. That's on. Look out for Country Roads in the ACC coming near you.
Country Roads in the ACC.
And my whiskey, I have a Tennessee whiskey. It's just CYLK, Cylk whiskey. And I'm not a big whiskey drinker, but I like to see people enjoy that, and it's such a great thing now. And they, from what I hear, everybody seems to like it when they do these taste tests all around.
Where can people find that, Cylk?
Well, right now it's just at the old Tennessee Old Distillery at 407 exit right outside of Knoxville for now. But then we're getting ready to put a bigger batch, so to speak, around now that we'll be able to get it out in all the other markets. But Country Roads beer will be out there pretty soon. Everybody will, I think, really will like that, because it's not just a country road like Country Roads. It's not just a song. It's all roads as a country leads to your country, whether you're in the United States or out of the United States. But it's a country roads, and we're really excited about it. So
love it. And real quick, 30 seconds. Inherit the Land. Talk about it, because I've seen
Inherit
a video
the
where you
Land.
did some singing on that.
Well, I have the song Inherit the Land I came up with in my sleep. I kept hearing this thing, and it just kept Inherit the Land. It just came out, and I went to the piano. But I think people would enjoy the book called Inherit the Land by Gene Stowe. And I wrote the story based off of the book. So I bought the rights to the book, and me and Jim Johnson, he produced it with me. And we got the people to help fund it from all over the place.
Wow.
Just different folks, it was just wonderful. So we're getting ready to put that out on a distribution company called Indie Rights. So Inherit the Land.
Go check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, gifted, talented, creative, inspiring, just amazing. I speak for a living, and I don't even have the words for you, brother. God bless you. Continue to impact lives, man. And let's chat soon about collaborating on some projects. I bet we could come up with some great ones, man.
God Phil story, y'all, coming to you. I'm telling you. You're a blessing. You're a blessing, Scott. Thank you again for what you do. And I appreciate your time, and your audience. May it just keep booming. I know it's over 300 million. It might be 800 million by the time we finish today.
You're the man, Cylk. God bless
right,
you.
bro.
Let's connect soon.
Appreciate and I'm going to be coming out with the Naismith tennis shoe. It's the original.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Talk to you later.
Peace, brother.
Okay.